Thank you for listening to our Partners in Education program for March of 2016. But before we get to the pie at the bakery, we got some other fun stuff we're going to be chatting about here. And I've got Eric and I've got Matt here from Keystone, a couple of crazy guys stopping in the studio to chat. So let's start with Eric. First of all, how you doing, sir?
Oh, really good, John. How are you?
Very good. Glad to have you back in the studio.
It's always a pleasure to join you here.
We've got a fun program coming up tomorrow that we'll be getting to here in just a little bit. But before we get to that, you guys have some exciting news to share, don't you?
Yeah, we do. And honestly, I don't know if I'm the one that should deliver this. I guess just other than to congratulate Matt on a job that, quite honestly, I think when we looked at it at the beginning, Matt, I don't know if you'd agree with the timelines that we had presented, it was almost an impossibility.
Yeah.
And but we received news on Monday that the governor signed the Jason Flatt Act of South Dakota into law.
That's awesome.
And I just couldn't be prouder of this guy standing next to me and what this is going to do for the youth in our state. I really, truly believe that this will save lives. In fact, with all the hot-button items that the legislature has dealt with this session.
What a year it's been, huh?
We've kind of flown under the radar, good or bad, with this, gaining traction in terms of this issue. But I think looking back, we're going to look back at this session as this was the most important piece of legislation that was passed in terms of impact on people in South Dakota. I'm glad for the teachers. I'm glad for them to get their money. But in terms of real life-saving legislation, I'm just really proud of this man right here. So I'll let Matt talk a little bit.
Matt, how are you, sir? You got to be pretty darn happy right now.
Well, I'm thrilled, and I'm even more thrilled for the families and the kids that can be saved. We lose a lot of teen lives to suicide in South Dakota. It is among the leading causes of death for young people in our state. But we know that it's also the leading preventable cause of death.
And that's the thing. It's preventable if you have the right tools to be able to have that conversation. And that's the wonderful thing about the Jason Flatt Act. And it passed, which is awesome. Now, we're not the first state to do this. We're which number in the states here?
We just became number 17.
Number 17.
So it's been introduced in 17 states and passed in 17 states. And the spirit of the bill, just to be clear, is that it requires teachers to take at least some training on teen suicide prevention and awareness. So they know the warning signs to look for, because 80% of suicidal teens give clear warning signs.
Yeah.
If teachers know what to look for and they know how to respond effectively, they can intervene and prevent tragedy before it strikes. We know it's effective. In Tennessee, when they passed this bill, they reduced their rate of teen suicide within 3 years by 28%.
How awesome is that? When you think about that number, you got to remember, each number in those percentages there are attached to the life of a teenager. So when you look at 28%, 28% fewer teenagers dying, that's a great thing. You really don't, you can't even fathom what a difference that makes to the families and the loved ones for each one of those people.
Right. It's tremendous, especially in talking with family members who have lost a young person, a son or daughter, to suicide. The impact that has on a person is so profound, and I've just been absolutely humbled in talking to these family members, and I'm just so impressed with their courage to be able to share their story, how it's impacted their lives, and how they would do anything to help another family avoid that type of tragedy in their life.
And we're going to be reaching out to some people here during the program today to visit with them about their reaction to this. But for people who maybe are not 100% familiar with this Jason Flatt Act, let's kind of go through again and explain how this works and what it is. You were mentioning already that the teachers will be required to have some additional training, but it's not like they have to add more training. This is something that before was something they could have chosen, but now it's a required rather than something that they would choose. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And one of the things that we did, and it's important for a bill in peer, it's very important for your bill to be reasonable.
Yeah.
And we know teachers work very hard. We don't want to require anything that would encumber them, or that would require them to do even more work than they're already doing, because they have a tough job. Yeah. So what we did was all teachers in South Dakota are required to recertify. For bachelor's level teachers, that's every 5 years. For master's level teachers, that's every 10 years. And they have about 5 credit hours that they have to do, which a credit hour is 15 contact hours, which means physical hours of training. So that's 75 total contact hours of training that each teacher has to do upon recertification. What we asked for in our bill is that at least one of those contact hours be dedicated to teen suicide prevention and awareness.
But you weren't saying, let's add one more hour. You're
No.
saying, let's keep the same number of hours, but let's have it where one is mandatory for this particular really important topic.
Right, and we use the phrase at least one.
Yeah.
So they can take more training if they desire.
Nice.
But that every teacher in the state has a minimum level, or at least a required level of competency.
Yeah.
You could call it a minimum standard of competency on the issue. But teachers want that, because a lot of teachers, their worst fear is that student that stays after class and says, I'm thinking about hurting myself.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And if they don't, and I think a lot of teachers feel instantly uncomfortable in that situation. So I come from a military family, and you know what the military's answer is to just about everything.
What's that?
Training.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least it seems that way to me.
There you go.
And I think for teachers, the more they train, and for any of us in our job, the more we train, the better we can do it, and the more prepared we are to deal with situations that occur, because we know now teens have a lot of emotional problems.
Yeah.
And if teachers know the signs to look for and how to respond, we can save lives. It's a good bill. It's a simple bill. We had the Board of Education who came on as a proponent of our bill. Typically, they do not like things that are mandates. Typically, all the education groups do not like things that are a requirement for teachers, because they have a
Can be burdensome.
Right. And our goal from the beginning was to do something that would be truly helpful.
Yeah.
And it was not going to be an encumbrance or a burden or costly endeavor for anybody. We didn't want to be perceived as shoving things down teachers' throats. I'm using air quotes because
they
that's,
don't transfer to the radio well, Matt.
But that's the perception. And for our bill, that was not the reality.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make very clear throughout our lobbying process and our education process that we want to be helpful. So the Department of Ed, we worked with them. They were so gracious, so kind, so wonderful to work with. And Dr. Melody Shop, who's the Secretary of the Department of Education for South Dakota, did a fantastic job of saying, well, this is what we need, and this is how we could work with this. And it wasn't the original plan that our team had come up with, but we said, okay, we're reasonable.
Yeah.
Let's come to agreements, and whatever you need, we're okay with that.
And the Jason Flatt Act had a lot of support from a lot of different places. And like I said, in the program here today, we're going to reach out to some of those places and get their response and their reaction to the passing. And it's all very good news, so it's kind of a little party. See, this is the cool thing, because we got this Partners in Education. We already had the pie. This is like a la mode. Now we got like ice cream on top, because it's even better than pie.
Absolutely.
So it's good stuff.
I want to say one quick other thing about the bill, which is important to note, in that our bill also eliminates or reduces the liability that teachers or schools would face in the event that a teen did complete or die of suicide.
Okay.
A lot of times a family may sue the school or the teacher saying, well, they should have known, they should have done something different. What this does is it removes, in large part, and reduces the legal liability to schools and teachers, because we want to prevent those expensive litigation costs for teachers that are doing the right thing, for schools that are training their teachers to prevent teen suicide. We want to shield them. And so this bill does that. We worked with the Attorney General quite a bit to make sure that would be an effective component of the bill. So there was we want to require teachers to take this training, but we also want to give them something.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense that, having that additional training allows them to have more information if there is an issue that comes up. So that's great.
Right. And it doesn't turn teachers into counselors.
Yeah.
It just gives teachers the tools to identify and then refer to the appropriate resource, and maybe that's the school counselor in a lot of cases.
Well, again, congratulations. This is a big deal. So we're number 17 now on the list of states hopefully we'll get our neighboring states and all of the states. I can't wait until we can have a little 50 party. All 50 states are on board. Maybe we'll see that hopefully here in the near future. There hasn't been any states where it's been introduced and turned down, have there?
Not yet.
So let's
not
go.
that I'm aware of.
Let's not say not yet. It hasn't happened, and we don't want it to happen. So.
Well, the truth is, it's a reasonable bill.
It is,
and it works. When it's reasonable, it's proven, and it's a good idea, and a lot of supporters come out. It just makes too much sense not to pass.
Well, it's been a really cool thing to see happen here, and like I said, a lot of support in the state of South Dakota. So very, very cool.
And if I could just add, John, and again, Matt, just awesome job at pulling, statewide consensus, educating. I spent a lot of time in Pierre, but the other advantage of becoming is that the Jason Foundation has made the statement that they will provide online training and resources to train teachers
so
for no cost, but
nice.
Only under the condition they were going to be able to afford to do that for the first 20 states.
Nice.
So becoming in at number 17 also has secured South Dakota to have access to this training for those school systems that don't have it in their budget, that they can access it online for free.
And that's nice.
And so that was another just tremendous, I think, advantage. Benefit of coming in where we did here at 17.
That's really good.
Absolutely. And they don't have to take our training, but they can take what the Department of Ed will say, here are the trainings that meet the spirit of the law, and the Jason Foundation training is one of those.
Very nice. And again, Matt is with the Jason Foundation and with Keystone, and Eric is also with Keystone. So my guys from Keystone here will be giving out a phone number here in a little bit to maybe help you if you happen to have some sort of issue going on in your life, something with addiction, and you'd like some help. That's what these guys do. They do a really good job with that. We'll be chatting with Eric again here towards the end of the program a little bit about that. And we'll be chatting about Partners in Education coming up tomorrow. All of the details on that here in just a little while as well. Thank you so much for joining us for our this is kind of cool. We get to have our dessert before we have our main course, right? Because we got our pie and we got our pie a la mode here right away. Going to be chatting with some other folks here in just a bit to talk to them about their reaction to the passing of the Jason Flatt Act. And then we'll wrap things up with all the details on the event tomorrow for Partners in Education. It's all on the way. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Partners in Education on Sunny.
We're excited to invite you to the third month of Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic, the link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. By increasing knowledge on the subject, we can increase the chances of helping people in need. Join us for this free event on Thursday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This is the third event of Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This event is free and even counts toward continuing education units and is NADAC approved. The link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. Hear from experts in this field, and who knows, this could help you improve the life of someone you love. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. Thursday, 11:30 to 1 at the Bakery, 910 North Main Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. Or log in and watch it live online at thebakerysf.com/live.
And right now, we're going to be joining Melody Shop in Pierre with the Department of Education. She's the Secretary of Education. Melody, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking some time to visit with us here today. I know you guys are busy in Pierre right now. This legislative session has had a lot of things that are attached to education, but the one we're going to be talking about right now is the Jason Flatt Act, and it passed, so that's really good news.
It's really good news, and the department supported this bill that came forward that was very specific to training teachers and recognizing signs of suicide, suicide signs for students in the classroom. And so we really feel that it's a great place that we need to start, and we know that those teachers are often the first ones and somebody that students will trust. And so we felt it's a really important piece of legislation that we needed to get behind.
Well, thank you so much for your support of this and also for all of the other things. Like I said, I know you guys have had a pretty busy time in Pierre this year with all the different things that are going on in Pierre with education. But I think this, if nothing else, at least with the Jason Flatt Act, I don't know that there was really anybody that was opposing it. It seemed to be something that almost everybody in the state has kind of gotten behind and said, this just makes sense.
You're exactly right. And and I know, I was a teacher for 24 years before I came to the Department of Education. And just thinking back on the relationships that you develop with students, and they tend to really trust you. But I also know that I could not point to a specific time that I had training about what to look for signs of depression or things that, I could have been aware of as a teacher, and luckily never had that situation occur with students I interacted with. But I just think that this is really critical that we give them those tools, and we know that it's a difficult world anymore for kids out there, and we've had a lot of tragedies in our state in the last couple years with suicides increasing amongst high school students, and so I think this is just a really important step that we're taking. I think the question I had when I was even testifying was, it's 1 hour of training, and is that enough? And so I think that as we bring that awareness, that maybe that's something we can continue to support and push as we move forward and as we learn more. So it's a really good thing.
And the beautiful thing is, if there's a teacher that says, I don't know that this 1 hour is enough, maybe they can opt to do more than that too. That's certainly a possibility.
Exactly.
Well, Melody, thank you so much for all the hard things you guys are working on out there in Pierre right now. And like I said, I'm certain you guys have had a pretty busy time this session. So thank you again for all the hard work that you've put into that, and thank you for your support of the Jason Flatt Act.
You bet, and thank you for contacting us, and we appreciate that you have your attention on this, because it's kind of got pushed in the background with everything else that's been going on, and it's good and it's important work. So thank you for taking the time today.
And think about this: in a regular, quote unquote, normal year, this probably would have been the biggest deal in education, but this year this has kind of gotten swept behind several other things. So you're right; it has kind of been in the shadows, but it's a very important piece of legislation. Super excited that South Dakota is state number 17 all around the country now that has adopted this. And again, thanks for all your hard work and all the things you're working on.
Thank you for calling.
Again, Melody Shop right there. She is the Secretary of Education with the Department of Education in Pierre, South Dakota. Stick around. We've got another guest coming away right after this.
We're excited to invite you to the third month of Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic, the link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. By increasing knowledge on the subject, we can increase the chances of helping people in need. Join us for this free event on Thursday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This is the third event of Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This event is free and even counts toward continuing education units and is NADAC approved. The link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. Hear from experts in this field, and who knows, this could help you improve the life of someone you love. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. Thursday, 11:30 to 1 at the Bakery, 910 North Main Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. Or log in and watch it live online at thebakerysf.com/live.
And we're continuing right now with Partners in Education on Sunny Radio. Again, join us for an event tomorrow at the Bakery in Sioux Falls, brought to you by Keystone, also brought to you by NAMI and the Bakery. Right now joining us, we have Teresa Carl from Brookings. Teresa, how are you today?
I am great, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking some time to visit with us here today. We've been talking with guests today about the Jason Flatt Act, and this is something that just recently passed. And now this is something that's near and dear to you, and I know you've been a cheerleader in the Brookings area to help champion this cause, and it's a very personal reason. So let's talk about why that is.
Absolutely. I lost my son to suicide May 1st of last year, and when I heard initially about the Jason Flatt legislation, I said that is a great start. I am a big proponent. I started an organization myself about educating our youth. 80% of those who die by suicide tell someone what they're planning. And if you had asked any one of our teachers at the Brookings School District, they would have definitely said Ian was not a suicidal student.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear about your loss. I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So he told a number of friends. And unfortunately, teenagers still have that view, adults are the enemy and we're going to keep our friends secret. And they tried to talk him out of it, and they just were there for him and trying to be good friends. And they didn't understand that that's something that is a medical condition and that they could not have talked him out of it any more than they could have talked him out of having diabetes.
Yeah.
So I've started this organization educating youth that that's one thing that you just you have to get somebody involved, and they have to get medical attention.
And let's talk about the organization you started, Be a Lifesaver. How long ago did you start this?
We signed paperwork July 20th of last year, and it's been going very well.
That's great, and it's again, it's something that you have the opportunity to say, hey, I want to do something to help. I applaud you for doing that. That's a great thing. I know you were also advocating to help pass the Jason Flatt Act as well.
I gave testimony to the Senate committee. That's a huge first step. There's a number of people who still have that antiquated view that the person who dies by suicide is weak or selfish in some way. And if a student does, ignore the thoughts going in their brain and goes to a teacher and say, I need help, and they say, boy, that's stupid, or something, then that student's going to shut down. We need our educators. If we're saying, go to your teacher, go to admin, we need them educated on what depression and suicide really is. So this is a great first step.
I agree completely. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us, and thank you for doing what you're doing in the Brookings area with the group Be a Lifesaver.
It's not just Brookings area. It is throughout the state. You want us to come talk to your school. We have a very innovative program. Our results are showing that we're very effective in reaching children and teens, middle schoolers, teens. It's incredibly effective, and if you want to reach us, you can call my cell phone number at any time, 605-695-6323, or you can go to our website at b-a-lifesaver.org.
Very nice. Well, Teresa, thank you again for taking a little bit of time here to chat with us today.
Thank you very much.
And again, that's Teresa Carl from the Brookings area, and she's got the organization Be a Lifesaver, and again, b-a-lifesaver.org is her website. Thank you so much for listening to Partners in Education on Sunny Radio.
We're excited to invite you to the third month of Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic, the link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. By increasing knowledge on the subject, we can increase the chances of helping people in need. Join us for this free event on Thursday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This is the third event of Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This event is free and even counts toward continuing education units and is NADAC approved. The link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. Hear from experts in this field, and who knows, this could help you improve the life of someone you love. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. Thursday, 11:30 to 1 at the Bakery, 910 North Main Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. Or log in and watch it live online at thebakerysf.com/live.
Joining us right now, we have Stephanie Schweitzer-Dixon from the Front Porch Coalition in Rapid City. Stephanie, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
Well, thanks again for joining us here. And again, we wanted to reach out today, just kind of visit a little bit about the Jason Flatt Act that was passed here in the state of South Dakota. And thank you for your support and your help out on the western side of the state.
Absolutely.
And this is really good news for the state of South Dakota. And now, is there a way that your organization, Front Porch Coalition, is tied into this as well?
Well, we've just been the lead agency doing some of the education and awareness here in western South Dakota, providing some of the basic information on how prevalent the issue has been on youth suicide, how much of this is really essentially that the role that teachers can play in being sort of the first line of defense in what can be going on with the youth when they're struggling with mental illness, when they're struggling with some really serious stressors in their life that can lead them to the point of thinking about suicide, and what a teacher can do when they see those signs, and those signs that can lead to suicide, and how they can help intervene, and how they can get a kid to safety and get them to the mental health care that they will need that can really help save their lives. So we've done a lot of the education, we've done some advocating, but we've really educated people who are important to getting this bill passed.
And again, if with the passing of this bill, if that gives one teacher the information to help one student It was worth all of the effort, but I really think it's going to give a lot of teachers the information to help a lot of students, and I think this can have a huge impact on our state.
I agree, definitely. Of course, like you said, if it helps one teacher, help one student, it's worth it. But it is going to make a huge difference for a lot of people, because I've spoken to teachers, I've spoken to paraprofessionals who work with students, who work with many different youth, and I will provide them with education for an hour or two, which is the minimum of what this bill has stated and requires, and they learn in just that short period of time vital information that they didn't know before, and they see some of these things in kids, but they don't know what to do, and they are grateful for learning what they can do because they don't feel so helpless, and we all know that teachers want to help students and youth. That's why they do what they do. And so by providing them with this information, they can do so much more to help young people, and that's everybody's goal here.
And the thing that I think is great about this, like you had just mentioned, there are teachers who probably do see these signs, but they don't really know what to look for, so they kind of go unnoticed. I have a daughter that just started driving, and I remember about a week ago she came home and said, "Dad, come out here. There's a light on in my car, and I don't know what this is." And it was because her gas cap wasn't screwed on tight enough. She had seen a light. She knew there was a problem. She didn't know what it was. She didn't identify, based on that. I've never seen this light before. What does it mean? Well, now that she knows what that means, she'll know what to look for in the future. And I think it's the same. If the teachers know what to look for, they may be able to help people when they're having issues early on. And I think that the sooner we provide support, the better for the students and everybody involved.
It's a great analogy and a great description, because we do uncover so much more and so many serious things very early on. A lot of that is discovered very early on and can get people help so much sooner rather than later, and before things get so much worse.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for all that you're doing with Front Porch Coalition there in Rapid City.
You're welcome, and thank you.
And again, we've got Partners in Education coming up this Thursday, so it'll be here before you know it. We'll have more details on that in just a bit as we continue with the Partners in Education radio program on Sunny.
We're excited to invite you to the third month of Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic, the link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. By increasing knowledge on the subject, we can increase the chances of helping people in need. Join us for this free event on Thursday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This is the third event of Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This event is free and even counts toward continuing education units and is NADAC approved. The link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. Hear from experts in this field, and who knows, this could help you improve the life of someone you love. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. Thursday, 11:30 to 1 at the Bakery, 910 North Main Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. Or log in and watch it live online at thebakerysf.com/live.
Joining us on the line right now, we have Wendy Giebink from NAMI. Wendy, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Well, we're excited to chat with you again. We had a chance to visit a little bit last month about the Partners in Education, but the reason we're reaching out this month is to talk a little bit about the Jason Flatt Act that was just passed. That's very good news.
That's very exciting.
So now NAMI has been involved in Partners in Education since the beginning when we started this back in January. And I know that you guys are also big supporters of the Jason Flatt Act. Now, how involved were you in helping to make that happen? Did you guys take a pretty active role in that as well?
Well, we certainly didn't have as much going on as the folks at Keystone did, but we were definitely involved from the very beginning. We were asked to partner with them on this initiative, and we were thrilled to do that because, of course, preventing suicides, and especially teen suicides, is definitely one of our goals. And we got to meet with Clark Flatt, Jason Flatt's dad, and the founder of the Jason Flatt Foundation. And so we really got to hear about the beginnings of that movement, that initiative, and what it would mean for South Dakota. So we got on board very quickly. We were really excited to be partners with them. And then it coincided really nicely for us with our annual mental health day at the legislature, which was in January. And we were able to invite them to come and have a table and talk to legislators about the Jason Flatt Act during our annual day at the legislature. So it worked out really well, and we had a wonderful turnout, and I think that our presence there and our NAMI volunteers' presence there probably helped to talk to some people about the need to educate teachers and educate parents and students and the general public about suicide and the warning signs of suicide, and how we can bring that number down that always is, such a tragic number to see, the number of suicides in South Dakota. And so we're really pleased to be part of that.
Again, our guest right now is Wendy Giebink with NAMI. And Wendy, we've got, I'm looking here at the info for tomorrow's Partner in Education on Thursday here. The link between substance use and mental health, the chicken and the egg, is the topic. And that's something that I know with NAMI, you guys see that as well, don't you?
We sure do. I mean, it's really sometimes hard to know which came first. And I think it's pretty well accepted and well known at this point that a good portion of people who live with mental illness have a co-occurring substance disorder, and the opposite is also true. Many people who have a substance abuse disorder also will at some point have some mental illness symptoms. Whether or not they're expressed at the same time, is always an individual situation. And I don't think science is exactly, we don't have mental illness or addiction disorders completely figured out yet, clearly, but we're looking at trends, and we're looking at the evidence which shows us that many people who, particularly in those early years, that 14 to 24 age group, where some of the symptoms of serious mental illness seem to start to show up, that people are confused by those symptoms. Those young people are confused, and sometimes they will choose to self-medicate. Try to make themselves feel better using substances. And that's also that time period where you're in high school and you're in college, and there's a lot of peer pressure to experiment with substances like that. And so sometimes that all sort of coincides in that person's timeline. And the real unfortunate part is that it muddies the water then, because if you have both things happening at the same time, it's really hard to delineate if something is in fact causing something else, and you also have to treat both. So it gets really confusing when you have both.
And again, that is the topic for tomorrow's Partners in Education. If you'd like to join us, that will be at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. It's from 11:30 until 1 p.m. It's free to attend. So if you'd like to get more information on the link between substance use and mental health, again, the chicken and the egg, be sure to join us for that tomorrow. And we'll have more details on that event coming up here in just a little bit. But I wanted to take this moment right now, Wendy, to tell you once again, thank you for all that you do for the state of South Dakota and the entire Midwest. I know you are a champion and are always there to help and assist in making sure that people have the information. So thank you so much for doing all that you do.
Thank you, John, and thanks so much to your listeners for their interest in this topic, too, and we hope that it will really help to improve life for all of us in this listening area.
And we'll continue with Partners in Education, brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery, coming up after this on Sunny Radio.
We're excited to invite you to the third month of Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic, the link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. By increasing knowledge on the subject, we can increase the chances of helping people in need. Join us for this free event on Thursday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This is the third event of Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This event is free and even counts toward continuing education units and is NADAC approved. The link between substance abuse and mental health, the chicken and the egg. Hear from experts in this field, and who knows, this could help you improve the life of someone you love. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery, Thursday, 11:30 to 1 at the Bakery, 910 North Main Avenue, downtown Sioux Falls. Or log in and watch it live online at thebakerysf.com/live.
As we get towards the end of our program here, first of all, thanks again for hanging in there and listening to Partners in Education and the March edition for 2016. We're going to wrap things up with Eric from Keystone. Eric, thanks for coming back and joining us here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, John.
Always fun to visit with you. Now, the topic for tomorrow is the link between substance use and mental health, the chicken and the egg. So it's a long topic, long title.
The chicken and the egg.
Not chicken or the egg. It's chicken and the egg. Right. So we want to make sure we get that distinction. Otherwise, you'd be at the wrong event.
Well, I think part of what we've attempted to do here is kind of break down some of the silos in terms of the service providers here, and that's why we've partnered. I know Matt did a tremendous job of partnering, reaching across the aisle, so to speak, from CD into mental health. And because what we deal with a lot of times are, when we look at the picture of the clients that come to us, they look very similar.
Yeah.
And depending on where an individual reaches out to help in the diagnosis of what's really going on, because honestly, in any medical condition, diagnosis is critical.
Yeah.
We're dealing with medical issues here, mental health issues, chemical dependency, addiction, alcoholism. They're all medical conditions. Diagnosis is critical. I think that's one of the reasons that Keystone has survived every market change for 40-some years here, is because we are really good at diagnosing what exactly is going on. It's not what's going on, what's really going on here. And I think that a lot of times when you look at depression, for example, and most people that suffer with depression are going to seek relief in some form or another. That's the whole thing about the illness, is that it drives us to seek relief. Many of them use chemicals in order to do that. They call that self-medication, which again then just exasperates the mental health condition of the depression. And
doesn't make it any better, does it?
No, and actually over a period of time it increases the depression. We have a saying is when your solution becomes your problem, you need a new solution.
Very true.
And so, part of what we're going to discuss tomorrow is showing the similarities and arming our local and regional service providers and stuff to kind of raise the bar a notch here in terms of how they view the clients they work with and the symptoms that they bring to us. Because, again, without a proper diagnosis, everything that is going to be prescribed as a treatable will be wrong.
Based on the wrong, it'll be built on the wrong foundation.
That's right.
And true story, when we built our home, the guy that did our foundation put the steps, as funny as it sounds, put them in the wrong spot. So they put the little spot for our steps. So when they built the home, when they were putting the walls up for the home, the steps were literally halfway in the middle of the doorway. And I said, you guys, the
nice house builder.
The door's in the wrong spot. And he said, no, the door's in the right spot. Your steps are in the wrong spot. So,
and that is a visual. To me, I look at it as like a big ball of spaghetti when folks come to us because, again, most people misunderstand what alcoholism is.
Yeah.
Most people think, well, I'm a perfect example of that. When I was newly sober, I mean, I suffered from bouts of depression. I suffered from emotional ups and downs. I just suffered with a lot of what we call the isms of alcoholism. I remember at one point thinking, well, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
There must be something else wrong with me. It was a misunderstanding of alcoholism, is that the symptoms of an untreated alcoholic when not drinking or using the drug is restlessness, irritability, discontent, depression, on an increasing level. And that's why recovery, I mean, if recovery was as simple as, John, just don't drink.
Okay.
We'll fix you. We would all have one-page literature.
Yeah.
Don't drink.
Good advice.
But recovery is really about a whole shifting of not only the emotional but the mental process that goes in this. I mean, recovery is an ongoing process. So to me, I'm excited because not only are we working now with mental health. Christy will have a teammate here tomorrow, but that we're going to actually start to look at that ball of spaghetti and begin to peel back some of those individual strands to kind of see how we can best help the people we serve. And I think then as we move on through this beautiful spring, we're going to shift focus to maybe some broader topics, but we're going to kind of wrap up I guess a very successful first quarter.
Yeah, definitely.
With the Jason Flatt Act being passed and the issues that I hope that we have brought to bear on the issues that affect the young people in our state and in our region, and really young people worldwide. Is that maybe we can have an impact on those that serve it. So excited about tomorrow's program.
I am as well. And isn't it wonderful to be able to look at something and say what we made an impact? That's exactly why I'm excited to be a part of Partners in Education. Thank you guys again for allowing us to be a part of this.
And we will have pie again tomorrow,
right.
John, if you come down. Matt's been basically, he's been breaking it down, man. He's had everything in there, but I don't know, what was that name of that knot you had? A
Gorian knot.
Gundar knot, or Gundar pie or something. So hope to see y'all. And again, we're on the live, we'll be live webcasts.
Yes.
At thebakerysf.com/live.
Yeah, so the link between substance use and mental health, the chicken and the egg, it is tomorrow from 11:30 until 1 o'clock at the bakery downtown Sioux Falls. And again, if you can't make it there, I'll give you that live link again. It's thebakerysf.com/live. Thank you so much for listening to another fun-filled edition of Partners in Education on Sunny Radio.